everyone. A very warm good morning and good evening to every one of you. So, on behalf of International Hindu University, I welcome all our guests, participants, faculty members, and our esteemed speaker for today's webinar. So, my name is Rahul, and I'm delighted to be your host for this enlightening session. So, before we officially kick off today's session, I'd like to share some few quick housekeeping announcements. So firstly, please note this webinar is recorded. So if you like to visit this session or explore more of our educational content, we encourage you to follow our YouTube channel, International Hindu University. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest webinars, lectures, and learning resources. So we want this session to be interactive and engaging as possible. So at the bottom of the screen, if you see, you will find a chat box. So please use your chat box only for general comments and networking with fellow participants. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where all your questions will be addressed. So kindly save your questions for that segment and we'll be happy to answer them. So thank you for your cooperation. And now let's move forward for today's session. So at International Hindu University, our mission is to preserve, promote, and share the timeless wisdom of Sanatan Dharma and Vedic knowledge with learners across the globe. So before we dive into today's fascinating topic, I would like to invite everyone to watch a short introductory video about International Hindu University. So this brief presentation will provide an overview of what IHU is, the vision behind the university, and the unique educational opportunities it offers. Thank you for your patience. So as you watch this video, you'll discover why IHU is a truly unique university that serves as a bridge between the ancient wisdom and the contemporary knowledge, fostering personal growth, providing cultural understanding, and lifelong learning. So let's take a few moments to learn more about the International Hindu University before we begin our today's topic.
Knowledge is not merely information, it is the awakening of human potential, the discovery of purpose, and the journey toward wisdom. Welcome to International Hindu University USA, where timeless Vedic wisdom meets modern education, empowering learners across the world to lead lives of meaning, balance, and service. International Hindu University USA is a state-registered non-profit university based in Florida dedicated to advancing Indian heritage, Sanatana Dharma, and traditional sciences on a global scale. Founded with the vision of preserving and sharing the profound wisdom of Hindu traditions, IHU serves as a bridge between Eastern knowledge systems and Western scholarship. Through education, research, cultural exchange, and spiritual exploration, the university creates a platform where ancient wisdom remains relevant in today's rapidly evolving world. At International Hindu University, our mission is to educate and empower individuals through the timeless values of Sanatan Dharma, promoting peace, mutual respect, and global harmony. We strive to create an inclusive learning environment open to people of all ages, backgrounds, cultures, and belief systems. By integrating ancient Hindu wisdom with modern academic excellence, we inspire students to live with purpose, cultivate self-awareness, and contribute positively to society. Guiding this vision is a distinguished leadership team dedicated to educational excellence and cultural preservation. The university is led by Captain Manohar R. Mahajan, President of International Hindu University and Chair of the Board of Directors. A respected maritime leader, certified mediator, arbitrator, philanthropist, and cultural ambassador, Captain Mahajan has devoted decades to education, community development, and the promotion of Indian heritage worldwide. Supporting the university's mission are our Board of Trustees, including Dr. Narendra Maheshwari and Mr. Shekhar Reddy, along with an accomplished academic council and a global network of scholars, educators, researchers, spiritual leaders, and industry experts. International Hindu University brings together multidisciplinary faculty members whose expertise spans education, spirituality, healthcare, psychology, science, philosophy, and traditional knowledge systems. With a commitment to academic rigor and student success, IHU continues to expand its global reach through accessible online and distance learning programs. The university is also pursuing accreditation through the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, reinforcing its commitment to educational quality and excellence. IHU offers a diverse range of degree, doctoral, and certificate programs designed to nurture intellectual growth, spiritual understanding, and professional development. For advanced scholars and practitioners, our doctoral programs include Ph.D. in Hindu philosophy, Ph.D. in Ayurvedic sciences, Ph.D. in yoga, Ph.D. in performing arts, Ph.D. in Purohitya, Doctor of Purohitya, and Doctor of Spiritual Counseling. IHU also offers specialized certificate programs in Ayurveda, Hindu spiritual care, natural health sciences, Sanskrit, spiritual management for professionals, language proficiency, and many other disciplines. At International Hindu University, education goes beyond earning a degree. Our programs help students develop spiritual awareness, leadership qualities, emotional resilience, cultural understanding, and practical life skills. By combining ancient wisdom with contemporary knowledge, learners discover their unique strengths, unlock their full potential, and become catalysts for positive change in their communities and the world. Join us on a journey of knowledge, self-discovery, and global harmony. You are not just enrolling in a university, you are joining a global family rooted in wisdom, service, and the spirit of we are one.
So, all right. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I think we hope this introduction has given you a glimpse into the vision and mission of International Hindu University. So now let's move forward to today's thought-provoking topic and welcome our respected speaker. So our today's topic is Hindu Chemistry Part 2, a fascinating exploration of scientific knowledge, innovations, and contributions embedded with rich traditions of ancient India. To guide us through this insightful journey, it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Pranjal Shukla. Mr. Pranjal holds a Master of Science in Chemistry and is currently pursuing a Ph.D. in Chemistry at University of Mumbai. His research focuses on cutting-edge areas including superabsorbent polymer composites, biopolymer-based energy storage materials, and their applications in advanced energy technologies such as batteries and supercapacitors. So today's webinar is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to learn, reflect, and engage with valuable insights from our respected speaker, who has generously agreed to share their knowledge and experience with us. So we encourage everyone to actively participate, take notes, and make most of this interactive learning experience. So please give a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Pranjal Shukla. Mr. Pranjal, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me in this webinar. And I welcome you all in this most awaited session. In the last session, we explored ancient Hindu chemistry. Especially, we targeted in the last episode, we discussed mostly about Rasaśāstra, the Indian chemical science. Our major focus was that ancient knowledge and how chemical science is evolved in ancient India. In ancient India, the chemical science is called as Rasaśāstra. That means there is a system, whole system that is belongs to medicine, metallurgy, and other areas. In the last session, we had discussed about ancient chemical sciences, where our most focus is on the evidence of Indian chemical science, where we discovered that Indian chemical science is not just alchemy, but it is the whole chemical system, where they started from very scratch. They started from philosophy, then developed the experimental techniques, then they evolved chemical apparatus. They set up the whole whole chemical laboratory, where they did experiments. All this we already discussed in perspective of India and in perspective of, we can say, ancient India. And we also saw various chemical processes that has been discovered in ancient Rasaśāstra, from purification to calcination to distillation to steaming, melting, and all. Not only that, in ancient India, they also used reaction flask, which resembles to modern reaction flask. For example, the musha, the crucible that we use now, the heating pit, the furnaces, the distillation apparatus, whatever right now we are using for the chemical reactions, in ancient India it is already practiced and already utilized. But the thing is, it's very basic level. Right now we are more advanced and more systematic. So we all discussed that everything in the last episode. In today's episode, our main focus is on understanding the global alchemical tradition. We will look how global alchemical tradition evolved, what other part of the world, what the other chemical knowledge that has been utilized in other parts of the world apart from India. Maybe it's Egypt, maybe in Greece, Islamic world, or other parts of the world. We can compare, we also global tradition with Indian Rasaśāstra. We will see how Indian Rasaśāstra is more superior than other global alchemical tradition. We will also see some case studies where Indian Rasaśāstra proves to be the best. It is where Indian Rasaśāstra proves to. We also see the future research opportunities. What are the future research opportunities will be there, and that we can, if we target it, we can definitely get something new. So if we look about the alchemy, alchemy is more or less about the material transformation, health and longevity, understanding the matter, and also alchemy also talks about the some chemical reactions also we will see in the episode later. So if we took the global arena, if we look at the global stage, these are the countries where alchemical traditions has been established, right? In Greece, Egypt, Persian countries, and India, China. We will see that only in today's episode. So if you look at the timelines of Indian chemical knowledge, or we can say the whole chemical tradition, in rights from Indus Valley civilization, which is regarded as the ancient civilization, we can say best civilization in ancient Egypt, China, Greece, and Rome, Islamic world. In every part of the world, something special has been done. Many alchemical traditions, right from pottery, metallurgy, dyes, drugs, elixirs, every every country had some definite, some uniqueness in their own. But we will see what unique is in every alchemical tradition, how they evolve, how they will set a stage for the modern chemistry. So we will start from the Egypt. We will see how alchemy established in Egypt, what are their philosophical views, what are their chemical, or what are their legacy, how they established alchemy at the greater stage. So if we talk about the Egypt, Egypt is, I can say, if I can see, Egypt is industrial chemist. Egyptians were industrial chemists because they have great foundation over the metallurgy, glass making, and ceramic technologies. They produces the first pigment, Egyptian blue. Earlier in the earlier part of the world, there is nothing like pigments or artificial colors. Egyptians were the first who developed Egyptian blue color for their need. They also work on the cosmetics, perfumes, and beer production. That is why we can call them as the first industrial chemist, because they did all these at the larger scale. Not only in this, they also believed in secret forces, that is called Heka tradition, where they believe that it is the cosmic force which can control, or which can be used by gods and humans to maintain the order. They also believe that the transmutation that has been existing, that means growth of a plant from seed, and purification of gold from the ore. They also believe that human can be divine being after that. All these also exist in secret philosophy, but the thing is that they are also believe in experimental chemical knowledge. Not only these, they were also developed cool alchemical ideas where they talks about the purification of matter, transformation of base metals into noble metals. Look into this transformation of base metals into noble metals. This is what we are using now, the transmutation process. In especially in nuclear chemistry, we are using the similar kind of idea. And Egyptians were also believed in setting up the laboratory apparatus and experimental procedures. And they inspire the other later alchemical tradition like Greek, like Islamic world, European alchemical traditions. And now we will see how Greeks were evolved, how Greeks developed their own alchemy. There you may find influence of Egyptian alchemy on the Greeks. The whole chemical knowledge that has been adopted by Greeks were much more influenced by the Egyptians. So if you look at the origin of matter, if you look at the Greeks basically talks about the modern chemical system. They are more or less talks about the modern chemical system. Their thought process is just like modern chemist because they are thinkers like Empedocles who proposed four element theory. He talks about earth as and express their property as cold and dry, water as cold and wet, air hot and wet, fire hot and dry. This shows the systematic approach of understanding the matter and also developing a strong intellectual foundation for the advanced alchemy and the early stage of chemistry. Actually, they are also setting the stage for the alchemy and for the early chemistry. Not only in that, they are also very much experienced in concept of matter and chemical knowledge, where Aristotle's theory of transformation is very much popular, and he proposed that the elements could transform by changing their qualities. Aristotle proposed that elements could transform, they are changing by their changing qualities, and we are using now the same, that we can convert a matter into another matter by transmutation or by the transformation. The Lysippus and Democritus were the first who proposed the concept of atom. From elemental stage to atom, they coined out that the matter consists of tiny indivisible particles called atoms. Apart from their theories for atom and elements and for material transformation, they are very much aware about different procedures like extraction of metal and refining gold, silver, copper. They are also very much aware about the how we can produce alloy. They are very much aware about pigments, dyes, and all medicinal uh, properties. Apart from that, the in the later stage of Greeks, like that means I'm talking about the in Hellenistic period, the alchemical development is become the hub in Alexandria city, where they explore metallurgy and practical arts. Here we see the Greek influence of Egyptian metallurgy, where two main alchemists were known, Josimos and Maria. Apart from that, they have contributed majorly for the development of laboratory apparatus like water bath, distillation, sublimation devices. And they are also in refining of distillation procedure, calcination, sublimation, and crystallization processes. They actually Greeks were laid the groundwork for the emergence of modern chemistry. And now, if we talk about the Chinese alchemy, we saw the Egyptian alchemy, we saw the Greek alchemy, where we saw that these both are interconnected with each other. There is influence of Egyptian alchemy over the Greek alchemy, but Chinese alchemy is very different. Ancient China's chemical tradition is very much different from the other uh, chemical traditions. In other chemical tradition, we had seen they are more or less talks about the transformation of material, transformation of other materials for the product, and more or less talks about the metallurgy, pigments, and dyes. Chinese alchemy, or we can say Chinese chemical tradition, is very much different. They talks about the elixirs of immortality, and their whole alchemical tradition is based on the Taoism philosophy. The Taoism philosophy, or we can say that Taoism, is now a religion and also a philosophy, just like Hinduism. Just like Hinduism is also the philosophy, and some of us consider as a religion also. Similarly, Taoist are the philosophy also, and it is also religion. What Taoism says, it says there is universal principle that governs the nature. That means Taoism also taught that we should live with the harmony of nature. And Taoism somehow give birth of yin yang philosophy. Yin yang philosophy means you may see that in Chinese kung fu and other martial arts, you may see in that a circle, half part of that circle is black and a white dot presents there, and half part of the circle is white and a black dot is there. That whole circle actually resembles the cosmological dualism, where it says that all the other alchemical traditions are actually have the opposite forces that cannot be live independently, but they can coexist. Yin Yang philosophy is like that, that day and night are very much opposite with each other, and they exist simultaneously, like hot and cold, like wet and dry. Means it balances the complementary forces during the transformation. And in later stage, Wung Xing philosophy has been developed, which says that everything that happens to the earth, that happens to the transformation, that happens to the metallurgy, that happens to the chemical reactions, is actually because of these five elements, these five phases: the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. It also classifies into two parts, the constructive and the destructive phases. Both the phases are everything that happens outside the world is actually because of these five phases. This is all about the philosophical foundation, and this philosophical foundation shows the way of alchemy to the Chinese world. In China, the Taoism actually laid the foundation of alchemy, where there is two branches: the Vedan branch, we can call it as external alchemy, and the Nedan branches, we can call them as internal alchemy. Vedan is very much early. Vedan is very much early, and it says that these alchemy has we can combine. If Taoism is universal principle, then we can also control our birth, our death. Taoism, the Vedic philosophy of Taoism actually explains this. In Vedic philosophy, the scientists, the alchemists are busy in making preparation of elixirs, or we can say a kind of chemical that can actually increases the life, or we can say that can be increases the life and decreases the condition for the death. And in later stage, what they identifies that in Vedic alchemy, or we can say in external alchemy, they are not getting the exact result, because the elixirs of immortality that they were preparing is actually prepared by the synthesis of harmful toxic heavy metals. Here, if you can look at the next slide, you may easily discover that. Yes, here cinnabar actually is the part of that elixir for immortality. This cinnabar made up of mercuric sulfide, which is the core part of that elixir for immortality. So what happened that in a later stage, when they are consuming elixirs of immortality, the kings were died because of heavy metal poisoning. And then they discover that it is not something that would work, and then it gives the birth of Nathan philosophy, where they instead of doing external where the external chemical substances, they started meditation, breathing practices, they work on diet, and they started cultivating of key energy, where they believe that now we can reach to the super being by this, rather consuming elixirs for immortality. And apart from that, silver, sulfur, and gold were also the part of elixirs. And the thing is that why they chosen cinnabar, mercuric sulfide, for their elixir is that here mercury can be easily converted into mercuric sulfide, and mercuric sulfide can be easily converted to the uh, mercury. That symbolizes the rebirth and immortality. That is why they believed that this can be make them immortal. And apart from this alchemical tradition, they are also very much well versed about the calcination, sublimation processes, roasting and smelting processes. And apart from that, they have developed major scientific field like metallurgy, alloy production, pharmaceutical formation, mineral processing, ceramic and porcelain manufacturing, and the furnace clean technology. Not only that, in the later phase, Chinese developed the gunpowder. In the Tang dynasty of 9th century, Common Era, they invented the gunpowder, and which can revolutionize the warfare mechanism, mining and fireworks. They are laid the foundation stone of modern science. And apart from that, they also advances the metallurgy, where in Shang dynasty, bronze casting, early cast iron production, and steel making technologies were developed in the later stage in Chinese alchemy. And now we'll go with the Islamic alchemy. Islamic alchemy is very later, and it is the time where modern chemistry taking shape. And many modern chemical theories has been evolved at during Islamic alchemy. And if you look at into the Islamic alchemy, it is kind of a mix up of ancient Greek alchemy and Egyptian alchemy and somehow other chemical and Indian Rasaśāstra techniques. So the major city for the alchemical tradition or alchemical practices is the Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, Cordoba, and Samarkand. These are the centers for learning for chemistry. And one thing which is most interesting about the Islamic alchemy is that they now shift from mystical alchemy towards the experimental science. They started observing the chemical transformation reactions. They started noting down and documenting the procedures. They tried to reproducibility, and this is how we can say a systematic experimental discipline is started developing. Even the alchemy word that we are using now is derived from the alchemia. Alchemia word is the root of the alchemy, and they are also very much uses the metallurgy and metal purification, medicinal preparation, perfumes, dyes, and all. Not only this, the Zabir bin Hayyan, he is regarded as the father of Islamic chemistry. He developed and transformed the distillation, sublimation, and calcination processes. He improved the alembic distillation apparatus, and he also proposed sulfur mercury theory of metals. And if we talk about the other scientists, or you can say other alchemists, Al-Razi, Al-Biruni were other alchemists. And if you look at the major chemical technology that has been developed during Islamic alchemy, it is the distillation, crystallization, sublimation, and metallurgy, where they use these techniques to manufacture the perfumes, medicines, essential oils. They also doing the sublimation techniques for the purification of sulfur and mercury compound. At industrial scale, they are producing perfume and other, and which is known now also. And apart from that, they are also very much aware about the dye and pigment preparation, colored glass, and gaze ceramics. And one thing that make it unique from other alchemical tradition is that they were the first who started preparing the precursors of sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and hydrochloric acid. And you may surprise to see that many English word that we are using now has its root on Islamic alchemy, right? Alchemy word derived from the alchemia, alcohol word derived from the alcohol, alkali word is derived from the alkali, alembic word is also derived from the Islamic alchemy, that is alembic. All these words that we are using now in chemistry and English is derived from the Islamic alchemy. And at the end, we'll take a look on the Indian Rasaśāstra, how Indian Rasaśāstra is much more diversified and much more superior than other global alchemical tradition. If we take a overlook of Indian Rasaśāstra, it is about the Ayurveda, Rasaśāstra, and metallurgy. Indian Rasaśāstra has produced various scholars, and they contributed a lot in the field of chemical science. The Nagarjun, Govind Bhagwat Pad, Vagbhatta, Kannad, Varah Mihir, Shushruta, Charak, they all were the genius. And now, still now, in Ayurveda, Charak and Shushruts uh, Samhitas, Charak Samhitas and Shushruta Samhitas are regarded as the godfather of all the Ayurvedic medicines and Ayurvedic books. Even the concept of atom has already given by the Kannad in his book Vaisheshik Sutra. Rasratna Samhita of Vagbhat already explained more than hundreds of chemical reactions and chemical transformations, metallurgical processes, everything, many and many more uh, chemical flask, reaction flask is already explained in the Rasratna Samuchaya and the Rasratnakar. Already explained. And you are already known that Shushruta is known as the father of surgery. At that time, in ancient India, he carried out surgeries very effectively. This represents the India's core knowledge. And not only that, India's Rasaśāstra has evolved as most advanced chemical knowledge because they were very much, I don't know, I don't say that they are aware about the chemistry because chemistry is developed very later, but they are very much aware about the chemical transformation reactions. They know how chemical reactions should occur, how we can modify it for the desired product. They are making oxides we are now in my field, we are using the nanoscience techniques to produce bhasm, that is oxide. At that time they are producing bhasmas. And apart from that, calcination distillation process are used at a very greater stage. And apart from that, they developed already many advanced equipments, advanced reaction flasks, which can be used for carrying out the chemical reactions. And other than that, if you look at the chemical reactions and chemical flask for now and then, you may found that the crucible that we can cause as that we can earlier we called as musha, the crucible that they used then and the crucible that we are using now in modern chemistry is exactly similar. And the distillation setup that has been utilized in earlier phase and the distillation setup that has been used now is more or less is same. The Dola Yantra, the in modern chemistry we are using the orbital shaker, they all look same. Means the ancient alchemy or Rasaśāstra is actually laid the foundation stone of modern chemical knowledge, modern chemical system. It shows the journey. And if we question why Indian alchemy was unique, what made Indian Rasaśāstra as unique chemical tradition, what makes Indian chemical science as the unique? So our answer is very simple. Indian Rasaśāstra is not merely focused on transforming metals or transforming different chemical reactions or metallurgy or elixirs of immortality. It does not focus on that. Rather, it focuses on the well-being. It thoughts it works on medicine, the core medicine. It works on metallurgy. It works on transformation. It works on the well-being. It also developed many philosophy. It worked on the core mechanism of modern chemical science. The medicine that ancient Indian scientists developed are still now very much famous. And if you look at the case studies, the first case study that we can discuss is the oxide of gold, the Swarna Bhasma. Swarna Bhasma is the most important Ayurvedic medicine that has been developed many years or again centuries ago, and it is now very much used in Ayurvedic medicine. Even the fitness freak using Swarna Bhasma as their nutrition. The Jawar distillation furnace. Already it is discovered that in somewhere in Rajasthan, there is the Jawar distillation furnace where the purification of zinc has been carried out using ancient technology. And apart from that, Delhi's iron pillar. Delhi's iron pillar is not rusting it. It prevents the rusting. It prevents the formation of oxide. This shows that Indian chemical tradition is very at next level. And one of the case study I didn't include it here. I can tell you now that the one of I don't want to take name, but one of women from Rajasthan, she has diagnosed with fourth stage cancer, and she took then operated and done. But at the later stage, doctors said that you are no longer going to live and your body is not responding, and we cannot do anything. At then, what she did, she read the Charak Samhita, she read the Shushruta Samhita, and she started healing herself with the procedures as described in Charak Samhita and Shushruta Samhita. And at February 2025, all elements that has been in her body is gone, and right now Jodhpur aims doing research on her. It is the well famous case of Rajasthan, where a woman cured herself all the elements. Means one after one she has faced many surgeries. She is not well, and she follows the Charak Samhita, Shusut Samhita, and then she cure herself. And this clearly shows that how well and how advanced is Indian chemical knowledge is. It explains we have to think again about the Indian alchemical science and Indian chemical knowledge. And now here there is a question that is alchemy disappeared? No one talks about the alchemy and no one talks about the Rasaśāstra now. So I would say no, alchemy is not disappeared, but it has transformed, and we can say it had transformed into a new way. For example, making of gold from base metals is actually, this principle has been used now in nuclear transmutation processes where we can convert one element to other. The elixirs of immortality that has been used by Chinese alchemy is actually taking shape as a drug discovery. The matter transformation has taken shape of material science. The philosopher's stone of European alchemical tradition has taken shape as AI-guided material science design. These are the new and modern forms of alchemy. This is how the modern forms, the alchemical traditions are transformed, and it connoted from the very advanced stage. And day by day, the alchemy is making it more and more advanced. So now we talk about the major research opportunities in Hindu chemistry. As I said, I am already I'm PhD student in University of Mumbai, and parallelly I also worked as the chemistry researcher at the VDRO, and there I worked on the Bhasma. There I worked on Yagya, and I found that it has great potential. In during my study on the Yagya and Yagya ashes, we found out that it has great possibility, it has great possibility, it has great chance of getting used in different chemical transformation reactions. We can also use, as it is my perception, because property shows that these Yag as can be used as a carbon source in batteries, as in graphite source, and Yag has many much more tendency, and even ancient metallurgy, green chemistry, all this can be re-explored. I think we should re-explore, and it has great tendency. And we already worked, and we published more than 10 papers. It is on the final stage of publishing. So at the end, I can say yes, Hindu chemistry has a lot of possibility, has a lot of research possibility where we can work on sustainable development SDG goals. We can work for the green chemistry and traditional pharmaceutical chemistry. We can develop it and transform it for the advanced pharmaceutical science. That's all for today, and thanks.
International Hindu University, IHU USA, where ancient wisdom meets modern education. Explore our diverse programs in Vedic studies, yoga and wellness, Ayurveda, Hindu philosophy, Sanskrit, and Vedic sciences. Choose from certificate, masters, and PhD programs, all online and flexible. Join a global community and transform your life through authentic holistic education. Enroll now and begin your spiritual journey today. Visit website ihuusa.org, email contact at
So
ihuusa.org.
thank you very much, Mr. Pranjal, for that enlightening and insightful presentation. It's like your session has provided us with a fascinating perspective of Hindu chemistry and the scientific knowledge embedded with Indian traditions. So with that, we'll open the floor for Q&A sessions. So I'll ask participants to unmute yourself and ask your questions to our respected speaker. I would also encourage everyone participants to keep their questions crisp so that we can accommodate as many participants as possible. The floor is yours, participant. Thank you.
My name is Jitendra Khanna. I am joining you from Geneva. I have seen some of the earlier papers that Pranjal had written in chemistry and so on. I don't as such have a question. I have actually many questions, but perhaps for the sake of brevity and so on, I think, Pranjal, what you presented was an interesting overview of alchemy in general, in the sense that you kind of took us from the journey of beginning of alchemy and from Mesopotamia to Greece to China and so on and so forth. And what to be very honest, I was hoping that you will delve a little bit deeper into some of the work to actually demonstrate why Hindu chemistry has more achievements to its name, or why you kind of believe that it's more advanced than some of the other work that has been done in that area. So that, I think, perhaps you might want to do that at another time, or something that takes us a little deeper into this thing. But my crucially, perhaps I think you will come to this later on. So I think the biggest question is, yes, so we know it was they were advanced and so on and so forth. And I think you posed that question itself. So where do we go from here? And if chemistry has already merged into and has taken over, do we really need to follow some of those ancient practices, procedures, lines of thought and so forth, or is chemistry doing quite well, thank you, so we don't need to kind of go there? So that's kind of my general spirit of my question. Thank you.
The first part of my Hindu chemistry webinar, I already put a deep light on the Hindu chemistry and Hindu alchemical tradition, their achievement, and not only that, I also uh, uh, go deeper and found and brings the evidence at which stage, at what are their evidences, where are the evidences that has been found the achievement and the alchemical traditions in the ancient books. I already dug deeper into the ancient Indian chemical science or Rasaśāstra in my first part. The main target of my second part is to compare the Indian chemical Rasaśāstra with global chemical traditions. This is my main highlight of the second part. In first part, I already covered all the major milestone that has been achieved with Indian Rasaśāstra, and in this part, I just put small light on just for a quick revision kind of thing for the Indian Rasaśāstra. More or less, my aim is to just do the comparison and put light on other global traditions. And the second part is that yes, chemistry is very much evolved, and right now more advanced chemical transformation reactions and drug discoveries are already happening in the field of pharmaceutical science, pigment chemistry, organic chemistry, and material science and nanoscience. But the main thing is that our Indian alchemy or our ancient science is more or less focused about the maintaining harmony with the nature. We can call it as sustainable development goal. My emphasis is that we can focus on using green chemistry for the development, rather only synthesizing synthetic compounds, synthetic drugs, and synthetic materials. We should focus on developing smart materials using green chemistry. That is why I can in my focus is to develop that thing. That is why I can say that we should look again on the ancient alchemical tradition.
Sorry, with your permission, I just want to, my next question would be in relation to what you just said. So what is
Yeah.
green chemistry? Can you explain that a little bit, and how is it different from modern chemistry, whether modern chemistry is less natural? I presume green, you mean something that's more aligned with nature. And can you explain that a bit?
Yeah. Actually, green chemistry had 12 principles, and some principle talks about the zero waste technology and developing a chemical which is less toxic, and it can cause less uh, toxic in nature, and the chemical should be designed in such a way that neither their product nor their reactant is toxic, and they should synthesized in a way that are safer and can be reproducible and much more effective.
I have many other questions as well, but I'll let others also ask. And
Jitendra ji, if you have your view about green chemistry, then you can share that too. If you have your own view about what green chemistry is, because this is a webinar where everybody can learn from each other.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. I don't have a view because I didn't know anything about green chemistry as such. I mean, I have been reading more recently, how, certain, millions of proteins have been developed using AI, and the AI method allows you to predict in advance whether certain proteins will be safe or not safe, or will be toxic or not toxic. So I'm just wondering whether I presume when Pranjal talks about green chemistry, is perhaps talking about the processes of transformation from one state to another state, which involves certain conservation of energy and conservation of less waste. That's how I kind of understood what he's saying. And I mean, you see, the thing is that my background is, I'm a science writer and editor. So I have helped a lot of people improve their science writing capacity and science thinking capacity. So for me, unless you need to always begin with what is the problem that you are trying to solve. I mean, is there a problem with non-green chemistry, and what problem is that? And if that is a problem, then how does green chemistry help to solve it, and to what extent can green chemistry be useful, or has its limitations? Because everything has its limitations. So I think that's the context in which this discussion can.
Yeah, definitely,
Thank
sir.
you.
Sure, it's good. Green chemistry have their own limitation. It's right because the synthesis procedure in green chemistry is still not explored yet. But my emphasis is that the chemical reaction that we are carrying now is actually more than 70% of the chemical reactions produces some harmful byproduct, or their reactants are harmful. That is why my emphasis is that we should go with the same tradition as our earlier scientists or alchemists went through, and to develop a tradition where green chemistry is at the center, so that the reactions and chemical reactions and products were safe. And definitely there might be challenge, but this can be optimized using further reactions. using further optimization. Artificial intelligence that we are using now for the drug discovery or for the molecular predictions are have their own limitation. First limitation is that right now I am in touch with some computational scientist where they explains what are the limitation of computational study or AI guided study. That studies were very time taken and very cost consuming, and apart from that, the servers that they are using is actually produces a much more radiation. And if you look at the problems with the AI servers, then it creates a huge problem in understanding the chemical processes and chemical reactions. In fact, the DFT study that we are doing for the understanding the behavior of different chemicals actually takes much more time. Sometimes for running a single reaction can consume up to more than 6 months to a year to understand just behavior of one reactions. And that is why I can say that we should go in different direction.
Could I ask a question with the permission of the host, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, my question is a very simple one in the sense that we at International Hindu University have recently established a school of Vedic sciences. And our aim is to have more and more research scholars to research into Vedas and ancient scriptures, Indian scriptures, to bring out the scientific and technical knowledge that is embedded in the Vedas. Lots of people know the spirituality in Vedas, like mostly you'll see that those shlokas being chanted in temples and pujaris and all that. But there are lots like, look, for example, in the previous webinar, we had the information, just the very first shlok of Rig Veda had the information about speed of light and things like that. Is there still, in your view, is there still plenty of knowledge that is still embedded in the Vedas that has not yet been surfaced or not yet? Because there has been a big gap between, in our Indian history, there was a time when invaders came in, burnt our books, and created a gap. And then came the modern science. Did this modern science just evolve by itself, or did they also get some of the Vedic knowledge that was available to them that they could develop on? And if we had greater research into Vedas, is there a possibility of getting something more than what we have now, currently, knowledge point of view?
Yes, sir, I can answer in two parts. First part is that, yes, ancient Hindu scriptures, whether it is Vedas and Upvedas, Vedangas, and all, everything has different knowledge. Each and every Hindu scriptures has encoded knowledge, as you mentioned in the last session, where Mr. Marco expressed a deep research in the first sloka of Rig Veda, and in a similar manner, many more topics of physics, astrology, and science, especially biological science and the chemical sciences, has been already encoded in the different Hindu scriptures. And there is a more scope in if we dig out the Vedas, and if we look Vedas into a different perspective, if we change the perspective of just scriptures, and we look like it as a knowledge source or a science book, then we can definitely develop new things. And the second part is that the Indian sciences, or we can say the modern science that we are using and seeing now, has its root in deep Vedic knowledge. Many of the, in fact, I just mentioned few things in this webinar, and even in the last episode, I put light on different chemical reactions that we are using in modern chemistry, has its roots on the ancient alchemical science. Not only this, many reactions and many chemical tradition that we are using now has its roots on the Vedic sciences. You may heard about that. The concept of atom, the tiny indivisible particle of all the matters, is actually already coined in the Vaisheshik Sutra. And but very secretly these topics are hidden and someone else coined the term atom. How this happens? This happened because of this lost knowledge. Actually, we in earlier time we didn't recognize our knowledge, and the Western cultures grab that opportunity and make their own. And even if you search on the turmeric has a great potential in Indian Ayurveda, and it has also mentioned as antiseptic, and it have various its benefit has been already patented by US. Why this happened? Because we didn't look at that things. If we are very much aware about our knowledge, no one can steal from us. This is why I can emphasize that we should look further. Our Ayurvedic tradition, our medicine, our alchemical traditions. Not only this, many cosmological problem can be solved by the Vedic method. Even in our organization VDRO, we are using Vedas and all to solve the major cosmological problem. Also, we already written some papers out of that, the nomological papers and all other things. We already written that. So we can say that if we work on that to dig out, to find out the knowledge, definitely we will get something new.
Thanks. I like the way you mentioned about turmeric. One of our candidates, one of our students at International Hindu University actually earned her Ph.D. in the studies of turmeric. So this was just a few years ago. So just wanted to
Yeah,
let
it has a
everybody
lot
know
of
about it.
capability, but few qualities of turmeric is already patented by US government.
That's true.
So yeah, it's somewhere it is our fault that we didn't recognize it, and now it is the time to recognize it.
Yes.
That was nice. Can I? Dr. Prema Sundararajan, Academic
Yeah,
Council
madam.
Chair from IHU. So you said that VDRO is doing all this, and can I ask you one question? That what is the authenticity and who? I mean, of course, you should all be knowing Sanskritam, and if you are going to be doing something potentially researching from the Veda, whom do you there should be some authentic person in your field, right? Like Guruji. It's not only for spiritual, the other things also have Guruji. So like that, do you have people around to say whatever paper you write, this is the right thing to do, because you are exploring which the rishis and munis years, like 5,000 years, 6,000 years back, people have written. I mean, that's my interest to ask. It's nothing to ask you. I'm sure you all must be writing the papers, but who is there in VDRO to authenticate your paper saying that you're doing some research from the Veda?
In VDRO, we have Mohitji and Karthikji. They were very much interested in digging out the knowledge from the Vedic studies.
We all,
I think if you don't mind, Premaji, I think the question here is, since we are thinking this, we are talking about this knowledge which has not yet been surfaced. So now, and once we do the research and get this thing out, who is there to authenticate it? Not necessarily just in VDRO where, but who is there? There has to be someone to authenticate, and that person should have had that knowledge already to authenticate that yes, whatever the research, I can create my own theory. For example, I can take one of the shloka from Vedas and I can find some resemblance with that I give them the numbers for each letter, so and so number. Like people do it now also. Like if love has so many letters and hate has so many letters. I'm just giving you a crude example here. So I could create my theory and say, okay, this is what it shows. It is I need someone above me who already has that knowledge, who can authenticate that what I have found is true, and it will work in every situation. It is not only just this one situation, but in every situation that will still hold true. Am I right to rephrase your
Thank you.
question, Premati?
Thank you, Mahajanji. You paraphrased what, yes. For example, I suppose I'm teaching Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, or I'm teaching Tiruvaimuri, which 12 Alvars have written. Before I start teaching, before I give any explanation from that, I should have had one guru from the mud, 7 years of experience they have, and they teach us, and then they authenticate us. Okay, now you go ahead, but not giving the reply or answers from what you feel like, what you interpret, but what the authors have said, what the Guruji has said. So that way, I'm very curious to know who is there. Example, Mahajanji has clearly given. So, is there anybody who has taught? Is there anybody who has really taken out transcript? To आजकल हो ही जाता है. I mean, we can get all those things done. Anyhow, Mahajanji has nicely paraphrased. But you can think about it. You don't have to answer me
I
right
think
away.
no. Just as I've questioned, I think this is a discussion matter. There is no one solid. There's no one particular question or not one particular answer to this. I think as the knowledge evolved, like when whosoever did it at that time, or whatever knowledge has evolved, even in modern science, it was first discovered. We said it has been discovered or invented, right? So it was never there. I mean, whatever was discovered was there, but nobody knew about it. That's why we say somebody discovered it. So there was nobody superior to them already there to authenticate. Oh yes, Newton's first, law of gravity. Who was there about Newton?
Yeah, sir.
To
That is what.
So that's what I'm thinking. That as it evolves, and the study is really very compelling, and it
Sir.
fits every situation. That's why then we can say yes, it is. And then things change later on. We have had so many researchers first, and that certain thing was believed that this is what it is, and this is the truth, and this is the fact. And 20 years later, we find no, that was not the case. It is something else is the truth, and something else is the fact. Please go ahead, Pranjalji. Yes.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I would like to say everything has a beginning. Everything has a beginning. In fact, the concept of atom that has been developed once at that time, no one easily can accept that each and everything is made up of tiny indivisible particle. But later, when the things discovered, then everyone recognize it. In a similar manner, here whatever we are doing is actually not only, it is we can say it is the beginning. And that is a beginning stage where we are doing the things. And when we written the paper, paper itself is not published by us. It is published by the well-recognized international journals, and that journals peer reviewed it, and then they certified it. Then these are published. And the thing that every new things has some beginning, and when they begin, and then we will see when the things were developed, and then in a similar manner the things is going on. And I can give you the example of Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory is not established yet, but various scholars are already did their PhD in Big Bang Theory. And recently international international organizations actually cancelled their PhD degree because Big Bang Theory is not established yet. But yes, to understand the universe, Big Bang is one of the concept. So that is my point, that yes, we are whatever we are doing now is at the beginning stage, and everything has a beginning. That's all from my side.
It is just like think according to modern science or modern knowledge, that we think that Galileo is the one who came up with saying that the earth is round, right? And according to the Vedas, this knowledge was there a long time ago, long before even Galileo came in, right? So that is what I think that is. And now we have to read into the Vedas, go into those shlokas and show to the world that these shlokas, and our aim is, our aim is not to show to the world that this knowledge existed before the modern scientists, discovered or came up with this, but our aim is to take onto that knowledge and see if we can build further, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but if that knowledge, if that basic was there that many years ago, maybe when we dwell further, we read further into the Vedas and then go to see that yes, we can develop a lot more on that basic knowledge than what is available today according to modern science. That is a research to be done. I mean, we don't know if that will happen or not, but that is the question to be asked right now.
Yeah, this is actually the question. This is actually the thing that we should try to build something new out of that knowledge. And that is how the modern chemistry works. It works on exploring the already done, what already done in the particular field, and then try to recreate and reinvent a new thing from other experiences, other works. And in PhD also we are doing the same. We carry out the literature survey, we find out the research gap, and carry out the experiment to generate new things.
Can I just add something to this discussion? Mahajanji, you have very nicely put the idea that the way there are two aspects to this thing. One is that you need to discover all that can be discovered or that needs to be discovered in the Vedas and the Vedic thought, because that's one line of research. The other line of research has to be, once you have exhausted those ideas, then you have to say, where do we go from here? Because Hindu chemistry by itself is not it's an interesting way of looking at a part of chemistry, but chemistry is much bigger than Hindu chemistry. So if you want to just remain sort of stuck in the idea of Hindu chemistry, or so it won't take you any further. I mean, if you look at the current situation in the world, I mean, Chinese chemistry has not remained stuck in where the elixirs and all the rest of it, which by in any case, that the gunpowder was discovered quite accidentally when they were trying to develop an elixir for life. Actually, that's what for perpetual life was the idea.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is that these are two different lines of research, and I think there needs to be also the second part, which is, where do we go from here? Are there some methodologies in Hindu chemistry that could be exploited further in some ways, or have we exhausted those lines of research and we need to take it forward? And here is the question of, what is the problem that you are trying to solve? That has to be the problem definition has to be very clear. The problem could be we don't know enough about Vedic chemistry and we need to do more research. Then the other problem could be, have we discovered everything that was there, and how do we take it forward? And the third, of course, the issue is, as the lady Premaji very importantly said, what she's basically saying is that the previous way of authenticating things was through a learned guru who had 7 years of experience, but the more modern way of doing it is peer review system, that you have certain other people who have knowledge of the system who can comment and authenticate that this is indeed a worthwhile line to follow, and therefore you authenticate it in that way. So these are some of the thoughts that I would like to say.
Thank you everyone for your thoughtful questions and active participations. It's like really a much more interesting discussion that I would have thought of. And once again, our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Pranjal for sharing his knowledge and insights with us today. We also thank all the participants also for joining us and making this session a success. And before we conclude today's sessions, I would like to invite everyone to join us in a Shanti part.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्।
At International Hindu University, USA, you are not simply enrolling in a university. You are becoming part of a global family rooted in wisdom, service, cultural heritage, and the enduring spirit of We Are One. Join us on a journey of knowledge, self-discovery, and global harmony. International Hindu University, USA. Contact us at contact@ihuusa.org or call +1305 5196 083. Preserving wisdom, inspiring futures, transforming lives.